What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. So there is a British black woman that's calling for a boycott of Asian businesses, and it's caused up quite a bit of stir. She believes strongly that black people in the UK should work together economically and structurally on a more purposeful, in a more meaningful and purposeful way, and that we should stop patronizing businesses by people who disrespect us, who benefit from institutionalized racism and doesn't recognize that they are a buffer class or that they are used as tools to oppress black people who don't appreciate black people, you know? And so she's very militant about black people supporting other black people. And, you know, I heard what she had to say, and because it's the UK and it's very similar, even though the UK is homeland for white folk, right? Over here is a colony of white folk, America, UK 2.0. As an African-American critiquing the British black people, who are, most of them are descendants taken into the transatlantic slave trade, and the Caribbeans who went to go build, you know, Europe after, you know, World War I and II. But, you know, and then you got recent African migrants, and the small, and by smaller numbers, those older Africans that was there before. Those ones, right? But, you know, it seems like the sentiment of those British Africans are one of condemnation, right? They don't want you to boycott Asian businesses. They're the humanitarians, right? They kind of are against. There are some that's on their side, but some that are saying that, hey, that's counterintuitive right now, because right now white folks are protesting against all of us. You know, we should be united as black people and POCs against those people, right? Which I can understand the argument, because honestly, strategically, right now is the opportunity for Asian people and Africans to unite. Honestly, Asians and Africans should be uniting. We are the best. Honestly, we are the best. We can be and have the potential to be the best allies, right? But the problem is Asian people, when I say Asians, I'm including Pakistanis, Indians, and other Southeast Asians. They're racist, and they're racist culturally, and they wouldn't do the same for us. You know, like, so how I can feel that strategically, yeah, this is the moment where Asians and black people need to unite against the savage barbarian globally, on the global. We all been victims, but at the same time, you guys show just as much condemnation, if not try to compete to show more hatred and racism towards us on a cultural level. You guys boycott us culturally, right? So the same Asians that you'll see saying, hey, don't boycott, you know, but if a black person were to be introduced into your family, you would shun them. You know, you would shun the black people in your families, in your institutions, in your businesses, in your jobs. You have a permanent boycott that's been going on for centuries, since you got it in your mind that whiteness is much better than blackness, right? And you want to be white, even though your biggest enemy has been white, right? And you haven't fought us Africans in a long time. We talk about ancient times, right? And so your current enemy is Europeans, but you want to be like them. You value them. You're not scared of them, but you're scared of us. You believe everything the white people, who are your enemy, you know, for all intents and purposes, say about us, right? So you don't care about us. So you guys, for the most part, and I'm not saying, and this is because I've looked Asian people globally, Indian people globally, whether it's Indian people in the Caribbean, Indian people in Europe, or Indian people in America, Indian people act like Indian people globally. Some are okay, most are not, because culturally how they are. Right? That's just the truth. Other Asian groups can be iffy, wishy-washy, depending on, you know, which Asian group you're talking about, because some are good, some are not. Right? But at the same time, you got to understand what this black woman is advocating for is the black people to show the same energy other groups show to us. It's just keeping the same energy. And I know there's going to be some people that say, oh, you African-American, mind your own goddamn business. This African-American, you know, you're African-American, who get upset about my position. But you got to understand, we're going through the same struggle. You got the same Indian over there speaking English, the same Indian we got over here. The same Pakistani you got over there is the same Pakistani we got over here. The same Southeast Asian over there is the same Southeast Asian we got over here. It's the same thing. We go through the exact same thing. The same white person you got over there, same white person we got over here. Just that ours lost their accent, their British accent. Ours lost their accent. It's the same shit. We are identical to each other when it comes to our issues. But it just seems like the British people are just a little bit too human. And that's the best way I can say. They're trying to start all the way up here, but they haven't realized that the POCs and the some of the white folks, they only want to kumbaya when it's convenient for them. They only want to unite as a group of people who should unite against our common goals when it's convenient for them, or when their backs are against the wall finally. But when shit's going good for them, do they ever say, you ever hear any Pakistani, any Indian, any Southeast Asian, any group at all openly advocate for African Americans, come out for black people? I mean, not African Americans. Well, yeah, shit, African Americans or British black or any European black or any black people in general at all, and come out and support us, without us asking, or just in general. Do you ever see any of that ever happen? Do you ever see anybody doing that? Not the recent fad of individual groups from different POC groups on TikTok, telling us about how woke they are now. Now they understand the things that we've been saying is not shit we've been making up because we're some sort of group of human beings that complain all the time and is lazy. And that the people that you idolize have been lying to you and projecting their insecurities onto us. And that everything you believe about us is a lie. We are in 2025, and you still got people looking at black people as if we are inferior human beings, even though we invented most of the shit that you guys are enjoying and using to disseminate that we are human beings that have not contributed anything to society. Even though all the history should show you we are the greatest inventors, we are the greatest philosophers, greatest teachers, oldest, most ancient, we the best builders, best architects, with our shit still standing like. Ain't nobody messing with us for real, but yet somehow you guys around the world has decided that you guys are going to look down upon us, even though you guys envy and enjoy and entertain yourself with every single thing that we do. While we mind our own black business and everybody else minds our own black business. We don't mind anybody's business. We don't mind no Asian people's business unless it is anime. We don't mind any Indian culture. We don't do any of that stuff unless it's a one-hit wonder song, right? We don't mind European anything unless they do something absolutely crazy. In the most part, ourselves is enough to entertain and to satiate ourselves. But it seems like you guys globally need us to satiate yourselves, whether it be culturally, whether it be adding to your culture, whether it be boasting your own culture by adding our culture, infusing it into your culture, whether it be expressing yourselves using African traditional forms of expression. But at the same time shitting on us. So why should we, who've been the only ones that's doing the things that Jesus would do, while everybody else is doing things Jesus wouldn't do? While we're the only ones doing what Buddha would do, while everybody else is not displaying what Buddha would do. We are the only group of people that openly accept every single body. We're the most humble group of people, despite our clear physical advantages, our clear historical and cultural advantages, our clear influential advantages. Despite all of the advantages, we still remain humble, and we only react. We don't do things first, right? And every single thing that we've ever gained in this world, we did it off the strength and pulled ourselves from our own bootstraps and was never given any goddamn thing. Everything. Every single thing, we did it without having to conquer another race of people and force them to do it for us. Force them to build it for us. Force them to finance it for us. We did everything on our own. So if we did everything on our own and nobody else really benefited us, what the lady is saying is we need to concentrate that energy and that power, right? And we need to do that shit on. We have so much power. Black people globally have so much power. That's why they keep us fighting, because they need us distracted, fighting diaspora wars and a bunch of dumb shit and being pissed off about what this person said and being pissed off about what this person said and spending all of our time spinning in our emotions instead of organizing our emotions and putting ourselves in our frame and strategically utilizing our economic, social power to benefit ourselves. Black people can literally boycott any business and crush them. With our supposed 13% population in America. Black people can crush businesses in the UK while supposedly being a almost indiscriminately small minority group of people. Black people economically on a global scale can crush nations once we stop giving them free shit. European and Western and Asian nations are now falling because Africa's not giving them free shit, right? Understand your goddamn worth and start using your economic leverage as power to elevate and elevate the entire black community along with yourselves. That's what she's saying. So I just feel like as an African American who's aware of this, and I can see she's aware of it, right? I think that the UK people are a little bit soft on it because they want to get to the final mission. They want to be human. We can't be human when everybody not trying to be human with us. Us being human and being nice and being inclusive has not worked for us because everybody else ain't on the same page. Until everybody else goes within themselves and have some introspection about their culture and their negative aspects of their culture and fix who they are as groups of people and come to us correctly, we can't have this kumbaya moment. All right. So so we shouldn't have our arms wide open and our backs turned towards people who would stab us in the back and shoot us with arrows while we're welcoming everybody. So we need to get a little tougher. We need to have that same energy we have for each other. All those black content creators who saying, "Oh, let's not boycott the Asians. Let's not do that. That's stupid." Blah blah. Everybody who got criticism for her, I guarantee you, most of those UK people will snap in a heartbeat when an African American say some shit, or when some Caribbean say some shit, or when some African say some shit, or some other black British person that didn't come to Britain the same way their group came to Britain said some shit. They have all this energy and all this smoke for all those people, but when it comes time to give smoke to those groups of people that disenfranchise us, that institutionally disrespects us, that enjoys privilege over top of us, that benefit from that, when it's time to get them smoke, all of a sudden we got to be peace, love, and happiness, and caring, and we got to be care bears and all that bullshit. No, man, sometimes you got to get mad. That festivity emotion is there for a reason. That mad emotion is there for a reason. That revenge emotion is there for a reason. To be used responsibly in situations where it's justified, and it's justified. So if you have to have power, you have to display your strength. If you don't display your strength and show them that you're serious about using it, nobody's ever going to respect you because they're never going to have a reason to fear you. Because they know at the end of the day, you're just going to be soft. And you're going to want to give a hug, everybody get a hug and kumbaya and sing songs and shit and fucking and talk about their feelings and shit. That's not how the real world works. So I'm on homegirl side. And that's just what it is. You know, even though I know some people are going to be against me, they're going to have their own views, which are valid. I'm just saying, and we done with that talking and negotiating. This is war. So we fighting. It's time to fight. And we got to use our tools as available to us to win that fight. Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
I'm boycotting all Asian businesses. And I said it with my blood clot chest.
A black woman who's really been making waves on social media lately. She's calling on the black community to basically boycott all Asian-owned shops, corner shops, restaurants, you name it.
You think it's just an accident that black businesses disappeared?
Now, why is she doing this? Well, she argues that Asian communities got a leg up from the British establishment. Like, historically, they had it easier getting mortgages, starting businesses, and just weren't targeted as much as black communities who faced, higher stop and search rates and more barriers to building wealth. So she's saying, let's redirect our money to black-owned businesses. And yeah, she's getting quite a bit of support from folks who feel like, finally, we're doing something to empower our own community. Some people are even saying they've already started boycotting and it feels good to keep the money circulating locally in the black community. But here's the other side. She's also facing a ton of backlash. A lot of people are calling this out as basically racism in reverse. They're saying, look, you can't boycott businesses based on the owner's skin color. That's just not how a modern, fair society works. Critics are pointing out that Asian communities face plenty of hardship too. They dealt with racism, Islamophobia, and they often succeeded because of really hard work, long hours, and strong family networks. So to them, this isn't about privilege. It's about sacrifice and effort. And then you got Feg saying she's got double standards. Why only target Asian businesses? Why not apply the same logic to other groups? And people are really worried that this kind of rhetoric's just going to divide communities that have lived side by side for ages. So that's the situation in a nutshell. It's a big, messy debate with strong feelings on all sides.
And I needed it to be the Asian boycott.
I've been seeing this a lot on my FYP, and I think it's important that I add my voice to it. First of all, I'm not boycotting anybody. The only people I would boycott is the English, because obviously my platform here is about the English, and they were the oppressors of everybody. Second of all, I'll say that I don't follow Elaine. There's a couple of things I've seen that she says that I don't agree with, so I'm not really connected on that way either. To understand where this is all coming from, this conversation between the South Asians and the Black, Caribbean, African communities, we need to go back a little bit. During the British Empire, the British and the English needed to install racial hierarchy to make sure that they were at the top at all times. And in that hierarchy, they made sure that Black African people were at the bottom, while Asians were above them. With this installation of hierarchy, this meant that black people at the bottom were never going to get the same opportunities as Asian people. This meant that South Asians and the Asian community in general were going to be installed as the buffer class, the gap between black people and white people. The British had overthrown India and ruled the country for over 200 years, installing ideology and manipulation.
By the early 1700s, the Indian subcontinent comprised around 27% of the world's entire GDP, which would have been around 150 billion in the year 1700. This region was a global powerhouse. It wasn't until the 1600s when the Portuguese, Dutch, French, and British created their own private companies to exploit the East did colonialism start to take shape. The British controlled parts of Eastern India under the creative name of the British East India Company, which, by the way, the term East India, which was common through these European companies, actually just referred to the whole region of India as East India. And companies like the Dutch West India Company were in the New World, places like the Caribbean, and that's where the term West Indies comes from.
At the end of those 200 years, they divided the country into India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. In that time, 12 to 20 million people were displaced. Under British rule and under the Crown, they could be used in Britain to get the economy going, which of course collapsed after the Second World War. This was an entire group of countries under British influence. Of course, it was not like that in Africa because there was lots of European powers there, and the same in the Caribbean. Now, these next stories are not opinions, but they are facts because I am a Windrush generation descendant. And these stories came from my grandparents and all of their friends and family in the Caribbean community. When the Africans and the Caribbeans came to the UK, they needed to have some monetary help from the government and from banks, and they were declined. Whilst on the other hand, South Asians and the Asian community were given loans and were given property and places where they could build in order to help boost the UK economy. Meanwhile, in the black community, African and Caribbean community loaning was starting to happen. They didn't have as much money to go around and try to help each other build up, but they did their best. With that, after years of experience as a taxi driver, my granddad actually ended up owning his very, very own successful taxi company in North London. It became a huge staple in the community. They were helping old people keep track of their dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, and they were also going shopping with them to make sure that they always got what they needed. My granddad was one of the very few people that managed to achieve this that he knew, because next door to him was an Asian shop, and then there was an Asian barber, and then there was an Asian pharmacy. So in that area, he was pretty much the only black person who had a business. And again, as I said, there was no government help. It was just community funding and the fact that my granddad had some experience. During the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, the Asian community suffered the most horrific racial abuse from white people. It was so bad and so racist that even a slur derived from it. During the same time, black people were also experiencing the same treatment, but it was always downplayed because of the racial hierarchy that was installed in the UK.
Racial violence. An angry crowd of youths chases a Negro into a greengrocer's shop, while police reinforcements are called out to check the riot. One of many that have broken out here in a few days. The injured victim, a Jamaican, is taken to safety. But the police have not been able to reach all the trouble spots so promptly. The most disturbing feature of the riots is the suspicion that not all the troublemakers are locals. Some of the gangs who break windows or throw bottles or burning torches have arrived by car.
And so while both communities were suffering under this hierarchy and actually experiencing so much racism, so much abuse, so many attacks, it was the Asian community that had a financial and economical advantage over black people. Fast forward to today. The South Asian community are thriving because of its government and financial backings that it had, while the black community continues to struggle because it didn't have any of those things. Both communities work exceptionally hard under a system that oppresses both communities, but there is always this advantage that the South Asians do have over black people. Elaine is the one singular black person that came up with this idea to boycott South Asian businesses. And most of us are not going along with that same idea. And following that, there are so many black creators on this app that have come out in support of the South Asian community. What we should be doing as black people is just buying more of our own products, going to black-run businesses and shopping black. It doesn't mean that we have to boycott others. And South Asians have come out in support of black people, for which I am so grateful. But there is one thing that I will ask of them in return. Check the racism in your comment sections. There is so much of it, and it makes me so sad. You guys are saying that you are allies to black people, but you're not checking what is actually being said. The things that I'm seeing down there hurts me more there than it does by white people saying things about us. This B right here is exactly why I no longer respect a large percentage of her community. The victimhood and abuse is a typical example of their hypocrisy. I was in the comment section of a TikTok live and I heard somebody bring up Elaine, and he started to say that he was going to put black people in concentration camps, and everybody else started laughing. We're very aware on our side that it takes one black person to tar everybody in the same way. And that is so unfair. It hurts my heart to even have to speak about this because I really didn't want to. My platform here is very clear. But I really do need the South Asians and the black people to stand together to continue to support each other, because we know exactly who wants this to work out, the division. It's always the English. The solution and answer to every problem is always to boycott the English. Even the name is after Charles Cunningham Boycott, an Englishman. He ended up being ostracised by the local community in Ireland because of high rent and land evictions in the 1800s, and so therefore the boycott was born. Do us all a favour and boycott the English.
When you're saying boycott, what you're basically saying is that we don't mess with them whatsoever.
I've never made them the enemy. All I'm saying is, black people, stop thinking about everyone else. I know you're going to hurt feelings. This is not a personal thing. This is business. Why would I put my black ass money into a community that gives me nothing back? Listen, they have done a number on us, right? And we have tried so hard to pull ourselves together. And we have tried 101 ways, and we need to try 101 more. If you can't physically find something in a black-owned store, then you go online. If you can't go online, your last resort is a supermarket, right? Tesco, Morrison's, M&S, whatever.
Asda was just bought by two Pakistani brothers. Name me one black supermarket. Two rappers came together and bought a supermarket. Regardless of what their percentage was, people made mockeries of them.
I'd rather go to the superstores, as much as, you know, as pathetic as it is, at least they have inclusive and diverse policy. Stop coming with your complaints and start coming with your solutions. Listen, this is going to be hard work. This is not going to happen overnight.
Did you guys hear about the black community in the UK boycotting South Asian businesses? Now, granted, not every member of the black community is actually joining in on this boycott, but I want to address this boycott as a whole. Now, the original video where this boycott was proposed was posted by a woman called Elaine the Pain. And that's not me trying to be funny, that's actually her username, and it's very fitting. I digress. The reason why I think this boycott is so stupid, right, is because why are you not boycotting English businesses? Think about it, like you're living in the UK, right? Why are you in the UK in the first place? Probably because you are part of the Commonwealth. At some point, the UK took over your country and took all of its resources. It could have been gold, spices, whatever, land. And after draining your country, it needed you or your ancestor or someone that you know of to come to their country and add numbers to their workforce. Why is it specifically the South Asian businesses that only rack in what? Maybe 100k, 200k a year if it's a very, very popular and a very, very wealthy business. But not million-dollar corporations like Tesco, which are British-owned businesses. What about Asda? What about Morrison's? You're just going to stop going there as well? It makes no sense to me because you're actively boycotting a marginalised group in the UK rather than boycotting the oppressor. The oppressor that oppressed both of you in different ways, but still oppressed both of you. You would rather go for the underdog than the kingpin. You could have posted that video in a different way. You could have asked South Asian people to support more black businesses. You know, like support does not have to come from cutting something off. It can come from promotion. You could have done so much promotion on your TikTok for black businesses so that people would go and visit them. Because that's what I do on my page. Like if I like your business, I'm posting it on my TikTok. Okay, my followers are going to come. They're going to eat your food, enjoy life. I don't know what you guys think and follow for more.
If you're boycotting South Asian shops, you're genuinely a donut. Do you understand the nature of business? Someone supplies you with something you need and then you pay for it. That's it. There's an exchange of value. That's how it works. They don't owe us anything more than that. If you feel like this is a business that needs to be owned by black people, then why use your energy to boycott shops? Why don't you use that energy to bring people together and build a shop yourself? Why destroy things when you can build them instead? Please exhibit some critical thinking.
So let's talk about this woman. The funny thing is there's people actually supporting her. I get what she's trying to say, but I think she's just gone the wrong way around it, because I'm all up for somebody standing up and saying, listen, let's support black communities, let's support black shops, let's get our own shops, let's get our own hairdressers, let's get our own products in our communities. Yeah, great. We're all there. I would support you if you'd said that. But you're going around saying boycott Asian shops where people have, you know, blood and sweat over 34 years. Bricks were thrown at the shops and racist language sprayed across the front of these shops. Are you mad, woman? Are you in your senses? You're talking nonsense.
Hey, I'm not going to buy from your shop because you're not black.
And to boycott Asian shops, I mean, what a silly thing. If you'd come out and said, you know, I want to see more shops that have those products in black communities and I want to see more black owners, fine, we're with you 100%. But you don't have to bring racism at the same difficulties in the country. That is just stupid, ignorant and highly, highly disrespectful.
It's dangerous as well, because the government, the people, the EDL, the UK reform, whatever you want to call them, they're already out to cause division. Look at the state of the... How are you going to then go and say, yeah, okay, I see that fire happening, I'm going to cause my own fire and make the situation worse.
Yeah.
It is really funny to me that lady's boycott of South Asian businesses didn't even leave the fucking ground. Like, I remember seeing that video like a week ago, and it just like finally hit the mainstream UK TikTokers yesterday. And the discussion is already over. All it took was for that video to get to like a couple of normal people and for everyone to look around and be like, what the fuck, what are we doing, guys? It's been so much fun to see people like poke holes in her boycott. I saw one comment that was like, what if you go to Sainsbury's and the checkout lady is Indian, what are you gonna do then? I am kind of glad that she said something so stupid that it could like unite a bunch of people. Like, genuinely, I don't think I've seen, wait, why do I look so hot? Like, genuinely, I don't think I've seen UK TikTok be this united since like Ali Kingston died, you know what I mean? R.I.P. Meet and Jeets, by the way.
Yeah, man, let's boycott the Asian community. Let's cause more divide. Let's cause more violence and disruption to our communities. When we look back in history, it's clear that black people have tried to build businesses and an economy for ourselves, and it has been destroyed and torn down. There is no doubt about that. And I promise you this, boycotting them is not going to fix what's broken. Boycotting another community of people will not add wealth to our community. It's just going to add to the divide that's already there and make it worse. See, what we really need to do, but haven't been able to, is strategize as a community. But for some reason, we just can't even agree on the most simplest of things, which is why we're now turning to boycotting. We won't rise with respect if we try to tear others down. And I get it. Some people are going to say, but that's what happened to us. But fight fire with fire and everything can go on down. Before we start thinking about building businesses and economies, we need to find a way to actually communicate with each other first in a healthy way. The only part I agree with is that, yes, we do need to build an economy sustainable for us. But how we go about it will have greater effect. How we do it is going to have a massive impact. So if we start by trying to tear another culture down, then we're just asking for trouble. So let's stop pointing the finger and start rebuilding and growing a smarter community, because we're better.
So Fred said, what's the purpose of the boycott?
Should we boycott Asian shops? Is that what we should do? And then every one of them said yes.
In predominantly black areas, it's Asian owned, right? So there's Asian dessert places, Asian restaurants, Asian corner shops, there's Asian butchers, there's Asian mobile phone shops. They have monopolized the whole high street. So how can we, and this is why I'm saying like the black pound has never really been affected, because whilst we can say, yeah, spend with your community or whatever it is, we're still giving our money to the Asian community. And as far as I'm concerned, they're not giving anything back. So the purpose of the boycott is to keep black money circulating in our community, because as everyone has rightly pointed out, that the black pound, the black currency, whatever you want to call it only circles in our community for a number of hours, whereas with the white community or the Jewish community or the Asian community, it circles a lot longer, if not days or weeks.
Yes. Because how are black people supposed to mobilize if they're in our communities? It's not no Asian hating, it's about economics and why black people can't keep their black money within their community.
Elaine the Payne has called for black British people to boycott Asian businesses.
Should we boycott Asian shops? Is that what we should do? And then every one of them said yes.
Whilst I 1000% don't agree with this sentiment, what I do believe is that Elaine has misrepresented various truths about the disparities between the black British community and the South Asian community for the purpose of creating controversy and peddling a very divisive and animosity-filled agenda. And what that ends up creating, because Elaine the Payne doesn't come up on my For You page, is like realistically South Asians are going to hear this, listen to this, be offended, be hurt, as they should be. But what I've seen in my view page is with this specific South Asian creator, I'm not saying this is everyone's view.
I'm going to tell you the reason as to why Asians have managed to accumulate wealth. Just a hint, it's not because they got handouts by the UK government.
Is this defense kind of very much was just model minority myth talking points without real understanding as to where the truth lied in what Elaine was saying and where the division and xenophobia lied, if that makes sense. So I wanted to come and give my perspective on what actually sits in the middle between Elaine the Pain, who is just a grifter who's interested in clout, clicks, controversy, and the model minority myth, which believes that the reason as to why, you know, the disparity between South Asians and Black British people is because of hard work or community, when it's just a bit more complex than that. So first things first, there's a massive difference between buying black and boycotting Asian, and that's because buying black is focusing on Black people buying from the Black community to boost the Black economy and the Black pound, etc., etc. That is very fair. Boycotting South Asian is all about specifically going out of your way to punish South Asian communities who own businesses because they own businesses. I don't even understand what the actual point of that is, because and in my opinion, what I truly think it is it's a salacious tagline that's gonna get people speaking, and then more people are gonna click onto Elaine the Pain's account and listen to what she says. I don't really think that there's any merit in it. There's not even any merit in discussing why it's wrong, except for the fact that it's xenophobic, and it feeds into this idea that like it's the Black people versus the brown people instead of people of color versus white people. Like even Elaine the Pain at one point says that if Black people can't shop at Black owned stores, they shouldn't shop at Asda because it's owned by brown people, but they should shop at Tesco and Sainsbury's. Like, girl, let's be all the way serious. Do you think that South Asian people oppress you more than white people? Is that your final answer? That's crazy. It just doesn't even make sense, and it's not worth sitting here and going over why that's wrong. That's just ridiculous, and it's hateful, and it's xenophobic. Now, on the other hand, I will say there is a big difference between buying black, which is quite like a vague general ideology, and buying black products from black businesses. Now, up until like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you couldn't get most ethnic food from a large supermarket, or any like black hair products were not stocked in chain beauty supply stores or supermarkets. It's only in these last 3-4 years that there's been a massive shift in that. And before that, primarily where you would be able to get a lot of your black products were from ethnic food or ethnic hair shops, which then ended up meaning that a lot of those shops were owned by South Asian people. Now, there have been many discussions about the way in which those relationships, like economically and socially, play out in real life, in terms of black people going to get black products from non-black shops. But the same conversation could be had about a Tesco or Sainsbury's than it could a corner shop or an Asian-owned beauty or hair supply store. And I don't necessarily think that there's a right or wrong answer, but what I do think is there's space for conversation about the ways in which black people want to move forward with that. But I think that kind of shoehorning that into the buy black conversation and framing it as an Asian boycott, again, just gives hateful, because there are specific reasons as to why South Asians were able to have businesses and organize themselves, etc., in ways that Black British people were not. And that leads me to my second point, the point about handouts and the reasons to why South Asians and Asian people in the UK have been more successful at creating businesses than Black British people. Now, I feel like, again, the word handouts frames it as though there was preferential treatment with the Asian community, which none of the Asian community would necessarily feel, in terms of like they weren't patted on the head and given a kiss goodnight, but it's more like they were hated less. So another creator included this hierarchy diagram about the way in which the empire would class different races during the colonial period, and that has trickled down to today. Even today, if you look up like the percentage of loan acceptance rates in different ethnicities, you will see still to this day that Black British businesses have a harder time getting loans than Asian British businesses. And anyone that knows the South Asian community very well knows that South Asians as a whole don't all just like get given loads of loans and have loads of money. Like, it very much depends on whether you're first, second, or third generation. It depends on the specific like community you're a part of. It just depends on the country you come from. It depends on the time period that your family came to this country. Like, anyone that knows the South Asian community really well just knows that like there's a massive disparity even amongst the Asian community. So, for example, some of the studies talk about the fact that Indian British people have an easier time getting loans than Bangladeshi British people, if that makes sense. So the same way there are disparities between Black British Jamaicans and Black British Nigerians. Like, there are just differences to the way in which colonization happened, immigration patterns happened, different opinions about different groups of minorities, even within the same ethnic group or same racial group, and how that plays out into their treatment to this day. So it's not a lie to say that the South Asian community as a whole had an easier time getting business loans to start businesses, and that's the reason as to why to this day there is a slight upper hand in that community, but it doesn't take away from the hard work that had to go into that, the sacrifice that had to go into that, the racial discrimination that the South Asian community faced, etc., etc. But if you understand anything about racial hierarchy, you would understand anything that. And this is not even about oppression Olympics. It's not about saying that one person had it worse, but just by the fact of believing in a racial hierarchy. If you believe that any of these treatments that happened to brown people like were so terrible, you could only then understand just by the logic of applying the idea of racial hierarchy in the UK that black people were going to have a harder time and have worse treatment. Not because this is not to have a victim mindset, but it's just the reality. Like, if you study sociology, that is just the reality of how things happen. So my final point is that when we're discussing these disparities between Black British people and South Asian British people, we have to be really careful not to fall into the trap of model minority talking points where we're saying that the reason as to why the South Asian community was more successful is because of a stronger sense of community or being really hardworking, because it kind of creates this implication, even if it's not being directly said, that Black British people don't work hard or don't have a sense of community. There have been many recorded examples of Black British people organising, and those organizations or efforts to create businesses in the UK have been sabotaged by white people. So it's not that we don't try or haven't historically tried, it's that it's not allowed to happen. And it just goes to show that as South Asians and as Black British people, we need to take it upon ourselves to educate ourselves more about other minority groups' experience with colonization, empire, and migration into the UK and treatment. Because the more that we understand about different communities, the more we can create a nexus of understanding how different people struggled in different ways and how we can support all different minorities instead of pitting minorities against each other.
Boycotting Asian businesses, yeah? Bro, we should boycott your right to speak. I can't lie, some of these girls just talk, bro. You actually let these people have a platform. Just because your business is flopping doesn't mean there's a reason for it. You're just media at business. Forget boycotting. Let's support Asian businesses. And let's boycott stupid human beings from having platforms. The worst thing is, you're acting like your whole community agrees with you. No one rates your thing in the Black community. And even me, as a non-Black person, I feel secondhand embarrassment. And I'm not even Black. Sign out, fam. Log off.
I haven't been to an Asian beauty supply store since Stop Asian Hate. And I know what y'all about to say. Oh, it's not all Asian people, right? But in my experience, living where I live, Asian stores have been anti-Black and racist towards Black people. And that's not a what if, that's a fact. I've literally experienced that. I've experienced being followed around. I experienced being stared at and looked at weird and rushed. I've experienced those things. So I haven't been supporting Asian businesses since then. Okay. It wasn't hard for me to stop going to Target because I really didn't go anyway. But Walmart, it was kind of hard because I used to go all the time. But I stopped going to Walmart. So if I could stop going to Walmart, y'all can stop going to Walmart. What else? Yeah, that's been my way of protesting, boycotting, and spending my money in places where it better serves me. And I've just been mostly buying groceries and cooking things. I've been in an Asian restaurant probably twice since that Stop Asian Hate thing. And that wasn't of my own free, wasn't it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was somebody else that wanted to go in there. So that's what I'm saying. That's my way of doing it. Y'all can respect it. Y'all can't respect it. Again, I'm not saying it's all Asian people that do these things, but from what I'm seeing, from my perspective, is a good chunk. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, black people have lost the plot because it's coming to the point of life. What do you mean you want to boycott the Asian community? I'm sorry, but we're not doing that. That has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard, like, this week. Oh, we have to give the Asian community props. Chicken shops, corner shops, repair shops. Bro, we have to give them props. You want to boycott the Asians? Nah, bro, that's not the move. I got close people that are Asian, man. I can't do that to them. I got love for the Asian community. It's giving hate group. Like, do you get what I mean? You also want to talk about how Asians are, like, selling black products. Oh, go out your way and start that business. No one's flipping stopping you. Asians are really good at businesses. When it comes to black people and business, whoa, it just goes down the drain. You can't even take constructive criticism. Or even there will be times where a black-owned business will come at me and be like, oh, you have to like our business. We're black, bro. We're supposed to be sticking together. No, if your business is shit, your business is shit. Nah, man, boycotting the Asian community has got to be the stupidest things I've heard. I've got love for you, man. Nah, man, we ain't doing that around here. No way, bro.
I can't partake in this boycotting Asian business movement. I can't. I will definitely make an effort to shop at black businesses and make sure that I patronize black businesses. But what I can't do, is not shop at a newsagent or any sort of shop just because the owner of the shop is Asian. I can't do that, especially in this political climate with reform and all of this this rising conservatism. Every single ethnic minority group is at risk. Every single ethnic minority group is under attack by, the powers that be, Reform, Trump, MAGA. We're all in the same boat. So united we stand, I'm trying not to engage in division where I can. And I personally can't, like I said, especially in this political climate, engage in the boycotting of Asian businesses when I know Asian businesses are under attack from the top. But that being said, I'm going to make sure that I patronize black businesses and prioritize black businesses. That doesn't mean that I need to boycott on the basis that they're Asian. Can't do that.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.